And we are live. What's up, guys? So, welcome to the first episode of the Live Free podcast. I uploaded one episode prior to this, but I actually deleted it due to the poor quality of the audio. And I wanted to start this thing off right. I wanted to really give you guys a foundation of who I am, what Live Free is all about, the brand, the philosophy, this podcast, and what drives me to share this message, with all of you, and really a bit of background on, where these beliefs stem from, uh, the results I've, I've had over the last decade of being an entrepreneur, and why I would hope you guys would tune in and listen, to what I have to say if it's for you. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, I just can't relate to this guy, you know, by all means, listen to someone else. But, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, this really resonates with me, I hope you continue to tune in because I have a lot of passion, for this topic, for this subject matter. It's a very authentic approach to this, philosophy of living free. I've been on one extreme side of the spectrum of not living free. I was in the military, um, joined the military at 17 years old. My parents, signed a waiver so I could do that. Served in Iraq as an Army infantry sergeant in 2004, 2005. It was a tough year. We lost 35 guys in our brigade that year, and I came back. I live in Southwest Louisiana. I was in law enforcement for 11 years. So I've always had a passion to serve. I was with the Lake Charles Police Department for 3 years, with the Louisiana State Police for almost 8 years. Was a SWAT operator, taught defensive tactics. Excuse me. I just always, the intrinsic motivator for me has always been to serve. My wife and I, we have 5 children. And my son, Jax, he's 10 years old. He has autism. So back in 2012, when I started this entrepreneur journey, the biggest driving force for that was my son. My son having autism, wanting to be a present father, wanted to provide more for my family than what I was able to do, as a state police officer. Got involved in network marketing, was with another company for 8 years, and in 2020, in August of 2020, transitioned to another company, and we've had great success. I've earned 7 figures in this profession. Haven't had a job in over 8 years. I actually walked away from the Louisiana State Police in June of 2014 on my oldest daughter's 8th birthday. She's now 16, so you guys pray for me. I don't know if you have a 16-year-old daughter, uh, but I love life, and having left my job, having experienced a fully autonomous lifestyle, having set goals and reached those goals, and started getting into personal development, learning about leadership, learning about what's possible in this magical universe that we live in. It's really inspired me to really get on the mountaintop and really share this message because I see so many people out in this world. They want, but they don't. They don't believe. They want this, they want that, and wanting perpetuates a state of wanting. And what I've learned most over these last 10 years is to really, I don't know, I like the word manifest. I know it sounds hokey, like law of attraction, but I'm just going to tell you guys, the whole metaphysics, quantum physics, law of attraction, all this stuff, it's a big deal to me because it's not theoretical. I've lived it, and not just once, multiple times. I started visualizing what it is I really wanted to, my life, what I really wanted my life to look like, and started writing these things down. Listen to people like Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill, these timeless authors who, their success principles have really withstood the test of time, and applied these principles to my life. And guys, I'm telling you, it just seems like I can create the future that I want at will. And these principles these universal laws, these principles, uh, they're real. They are. They're real. And I know a lot of people tend to overlook them. They're like, well, I'm a realist. I'm not a dreamer. But I'm just telling you guys, you're missing it. And, the ability to live free. And what I mean by living free is just simply living your life how you want to live it. Having full autonomy, meaning you can go where you want, when you want to go there, spend time with who you want for as long as you want to spend that time with them. You don't have to ask another person's permission to live your life how you want to live it. And I just believe that, we're God's highest form of creation as human beings, and we're really capable of of anything and everything that we set out to accomplish. I don't believe that we would have these dreams inside of our heart, these desires, if they weren't possible, you know? And so as these last 10 years have unfolded, of course I've, had my ups and had my downs. I've made mistakes. I've learned, I've grown throughout this process. And I really believe that, you know, there's no limits on what is possible in this life other than the limits that we place on ourselves. And the biggest limitation that I see people place on themselves is just thinking too small. They just don't they base their potential, and I've done this too, base their potential off of their past or maybe those who they've associated with, and so much more is possible than that. And I just want to come to you guys today with some perspective in a sense that this world is what you make of it. It's a magical place. And I think if you really just have some introspection, take a deep look inside yourself and say, hey, what is it that I truly want out of this life? And I think if you can really pinpoint that and really peel back the layers, like what is it that I desire? Like if money wasn't an option, if time wasn't an option, what could I accomplish in this life? And then set out to do exactly that and spend the rest of your natural life going after the things that you want to do. I think that, when people come to the end of the road, or on their deathbed, and they're thinking about their life and what they accomplished, and you know, I think people would rather say, "Oh well," than "what if." Like, "Oh, I tried this, I tried that. Hey, it didn't work out, but I learned this, or I grew in this way, or uh, you know, maybe these failures that happened to me in my life weren't failures. They were lessons, and I grew from those lessons." And I think failure is an illusion. I think success is it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And I think that we attract things into our life by what we believe in our subconscious mind, and but just deep down in our soul. And I think the biggest differentiator from someone who has the success that they want, reaches the goals that they set, is what they expect. It's what they visualize, what they picture in life. And when they can do that, when you realize how to just manipulate energy, when you realize that, hey, I'm going to attract these things into my life because I'm going to become the person who can acquire these things. And you have this self-image of yourself. You have these standards that you have set. You have these just non-negotiables in your life, the things that you must do because that's who you are. That's what see yourself having. That's the parent that you envision yourself to be. That's the spouse that um, see yourself as. And this self-image is built by, your thoughts, your programming, who you've associated with, the things that you've read, the things that you've watched, your environment. I mean, it all leads to programming, neural pathways in your mind that create patterns and habits, and and it just is who you are. You know, you attract who you are. And I think once you realize that, you take more ownership of your life, and then you realize if you're attracting who you are, that can change by growing who you are. By the cool thing about who we are is we can change who we are. And so many people think that it's this long process of incremental steps to say, well, here's where I am, but here's where I want to be, when that's not necessarily the case. You know, you can have quantum leap growths in success by changing the neural pathways in your mind, changing what you expect, changing what you believe, changing what you attract, by changing who you are. And who you are is dependent on how you think. It's dependent on how you think. Napoleon Hill wrote a great book called Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, he says, what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Now, Earl Nightingale says, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So when I come across on this podcast, when I come across, on this YouTube video or wherever you're watching this from, and I say, oh, living free, it doesn't mean necessarily not having a job, because I'm not knocking jobs. Yes, I love not being, tied down or under someone's thumb or under someone's control. That's my personal philosophy. But when it comes to success in general, when it comes to living free, when it comes to having a fully autonomous lifestyle, that means doing what you want to do. And some people are passionate about their jobs. Some people say, hey, I love being a school teacher. I want to be a school teacher. And if that's the case, then you are a success, because that's your worthy ideal. So please don't misinterpret, this message as you're only living free or you're only successful if you don't have a job, because that's absolutely not the case. I want you guys to understand that you can live the life that you want, whatever that looks like, to you. Just understand that there are principles, there are success principles that, if applied, can get you there quicker. They can get you there quicker. I always think of this book. It's called U Squared by Price Pritchett. And in that book, he talks about a fly on the hitting the window, and that, it will sit there and try to go through that glass until it kills himself. And that's how people a lot of times go through life. They think, well, if I just work a little bit harder, I'll get to where I'm trying to go. When you can just turn 180 degrees and go right out the door, right out the open door to freedom. And it's just a simple decision. It's a simple shift in perspective that can absolutely take your life from 0 to 100 like that. In a quantum leap, manner. So don't set yourself, don't set the limits on yourself by thinking, oh, well, I've been doing this for the last 10 years and I've gotten nowhere, or I've been putting more effort into this goal that I have, but I'm not progressing. There's a difference between movement and progress. There's a difference between, being busy and being productive. And I want you guys to understand that one of the magical keys to being productive is visualization. But it's not just writing it down. It's not just seeing it. It's feeling it and knowing it, and almost like experiencing it. Hold on, experiencing it before it happens. So think of it like this. I heard John Assaraf explain this one time. So think of your brain as like uh, 100 million marbles inside your brain, and every pattern, every habit, even the way you think, is creating these neural pathways. And and the more often you do it, it makes permanent neural pathways. These are habits and patterns in your life that you do subconsciously. That once it goes from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind, it's really on autopilot at that point. So you're not consciously thinking about it anymore. So so you have the only way to change that is through creating new neural pathways, new habits, and new patterns, but it can be done quicker than one might think. So, for instance, if a major movie producer asked you, if you can play this character, and I'm going to give you a script, I'm going to give you a character, and if you can become this person for this film, I'll pay you $10 million. How important would you take that role? How much effort would you put into becoming this person? You know, uh, visualizing and basically internalizing this character, right? And we are capable. Not, and I'm not suggesting fake it till you make it. I'm suggesting raising your standards, raising your self-image, raising your your beliefs and what you have the ability to accomplish, and understand that it's possible. It's possible. Once you understand that it's a possibility, but not just a possibility. Excuse me. Once you understand that with the right principles in place, with the right uh, approach, it's not just a possibility, it's an inevitability. And when you conceptualize this life, you know, but then really internalize it by writing down your goals to the finite detail. I'm talking as specific as you can be, and just see this life, manifesting, coming to fruition, the physical equivalent actually taking place, and then getting the emotion behind what that feels like. You start to become that. And the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Speaking of Earl Nightingale, he says, you become what you think about. James Allen wrote a book in 1902, As a Man Thinketh. The book I mentioned earlier, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It all comes down to your thoughts, your inner world. It comes down to what you're visualizing, what you expect. And I promise you guys, that's what you will attract. It's like your mind is a projector, and it's just putting this image out into the world, and then that image is coming back to you, and you can create whatever it is, whatever life it is that you want to live. Guys, I look around every day when I wake up. Like I said, I haven't had a job in 8 years. We do really well. It wasn't something I fell into. I've built, you know, a home-based business twice from the bottom, to the top. But I'm no different than any of you. I'm not special. I just had this childlike belief that I could do it. I looked around at other people who were doing it, and I'm just like, man, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And I just believed that I could, And I think what holds a lot of people back is they compare themselves to other people around them who are similar upbringings, um, maybe their family, their friends, and they just naturally tend to conform to that lifestyle because that's what they expect, because that's, you know, in their mind what they're supposed to be doing, how they're supposed to be living. But if you can separate yourself from that and really just be your own person with your unique perspective, and say, you know what, I'm going to live a different life. I'm going to live a better life. I'm not going to conform to the masses. Um, the opposite of courage is not cowardness, it's conformity. It's doing what everyone else is doing just because everyone else is doing it. And if you can think independently, if you can set your own unique goals, going back to that deathbed and regret, one of the biggest regrets people have is living for other people's approval. They live their life according to what other people think they should be doing. And it holds them back tremendously on what they could have actually accomplished had they just gone for it, had they just believed bigger, had they just become that person who can live that life. Jim Rohn says, become a millionaire not for the money, but for who you'll become in the process of achieving it. And if you think about that, you know, they've done studies that say they could, if they took all the money in the world and split it up evenly amongst everyone, that just in just a few years, it would be right back in the same people's hands who had it, because of the way they think. It's because of their self-image. It's because of the standards that they have and who they are. And who you are, your personal development set point and your income can't stay too far apart from each other for an extended amount of time. I mean, look at lottery winners. You know, their personal development level is very low and their income shoots through the roof, but it's only a matter of time before that income comes right back down to who they are. Now, if you flip that and take someone whose value, their personal development level, their character, their contribution to the world increases because of who they are, well, then the money comes, it can't stay down too long because it has to follow. They cannot stay too far apart from one another for an extended amount of time. So if you want more, you have to become more. And referencing uh, all the success books I mentioned earlier, you become what you think about. So if you want to improve your value, you have to improve the thoughts that are going into your mind on a consistent daily basis. And you have to get around people who are playing the game at a higher level than you. You got to read the books that they're reading. You got to learn through proximity. The people that you hang around is what is going to, you are going to become. Jim Rohn says you will be the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So meaning if you took your 5 closest friends and you added their income up, all 5 of their incomes, you added it up and divided it by 5, that's going to be around what you earn, annually. So if you want that to improve, you got to change your circle. You got to change what you're inputting into your mind. We password protect our phones, we password protect our computers, but yet we'll let anyone just shit on our brains. And we have to, Jim Rohn says, stand guard at the door of your mind. You have to protect what you're letting input into your mind. Again, that creates neural pathways. It creates mental a philosophy, and that philosophy is going to lead to your emotions and how you feel, which will then determine how you act and the actions that you take, and that will be directly proportionate to the results that you get. But if you understand that this whole thing, success, life, it's 90% spiritual and 10% physical, meaning it's 90% your desire, what you visualize, it's your why, it's the reasons. The reasons will always precede the results. Your desire. Napoleon Hill in the book Think and Grow Rich, the first chapter is desire. He says it's the starting point of all achievement, meaning, if you want something bad enough, you'll go after it, and you won't make excuses. You'll become the person who can, you know, have that life. That will be your self-image. That will be the standards you set. Your shoulds that you had, your shoulds will turn into musts. Tony Robbins says when your shoulds turn into musts, that's when your life will change. Right now, your musts are, I got to pay the bills. I got to put food on my kid's table, you know. But when those musts become, hey, I got to live this life that I want before time runs out. Because guys, I'm going to tell you, life isn't near. So many people are playing like they have 300 years left. Guys, I'm telling you, you don't. You got to have a sense of urgency right now to live the life you want right now, and understand that it's possible. You just have to change the way you think. And when you change the way you think, you change the way you feel. When you change the way you feel, you change the way you act. And when you change the way you act, your results change. But it doesn't have to be, this long process. Guys, when I was facing bankruptcy, I was crying myself to sleep at night with my head on my pillow, embarrassed, just in a dark, dark place, fighting depression and anxiety. Like my whole world was falling apart just a few short years ago. And I wrote down, oh man, I don't have my wallet. I wrote down on a 3x5 index card on August 11th of 2020. Yes, I had already quit my job. I was in another company. I was doing really well at one time. Went through some personal changes, went through, divorce. Business was falling apart. Just went into a really dark place. I got back into personal development. I got back into the principles that got me to where I wanted to be in the first place. I listened to an audio similar to this, reminding me, hey, anything's possible. You're capable of anything that you want to do. You're God's highest form of creation. You're designed for more than just to go to work, pay bills, and die. You don't need easy. You just need possible. Go get it. Go get it like you know how to go get it. I wrote down on a 3x5 index card all of these goals in present tense. I said, I'm so happy and grateful now that money flows to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis, and just started internalizing this person who I knew that I was. And on August 18th of 2020, 7 days later. Now, when I wrote this index card, I had no idea. I had no intention of switching companies, reaching out to my mentor now, whose name is John Melton. I had no idea any of that stuff was going to take place. I hadn't planned on it. I hadn't thought about it. None of that stuff. I wrote down on this index card with emotion, like, this is what I desire. This is who I am, and visualized it. Wrote it in present tense, in a form of gratitude. I have a gratitude journal that I write in every single morning, and that gratitude just opens you up to receive. I just thanked God. I didn't come from a sense of wanting. Like I said earlier, wanting perpetuates the state of wanting. I didn't separate myself from it, because see, if you understand metaphysics, if you understand quantum physics, everything you want is already here. I just took ownership of the life that I knew I was capable of having. I took ownership of the person who I knew I was capable of being. And I wrote these things down, visualized it, expected it, prayed about it, meditated on it, envisioned it. And a week later, I find myself in another company. Bankruptcy case no longer necessary, dismissed. Income went from zero to 100. Team members started, leaders I started connecting with who I never even thought to connect with. People started showing up. Things started happening, and I couldn't explain it. I could not explain it. I could not have planned it any better. I could not have told you how all this stuff was going to happen. It's like planting a seed in the ground. There's a reason the soil isn't see-through. It's not translucent. There's a reason. It's none of your business on how all that happens. When you set a goal, it's not up to you to figure out exactly how it's going to happen. You got to let the universe work. You got to let the stars align. You just have to know in your heart that, hey, this is going to happen. It's going to happen, and I expect it to happen. And I'm going to become the person who's going to make it happen. And I'm not going to stop until it happens. And when you can learn to do that, guys, I'm telling you, you can write your own paycheck. You can create your own lifestyle. You can create a masterpiece. Your lifestyle, your way of living, it's not fixed. It's not fixed. Your income is not fixed. Your character, your potential, your personality, your thoughts, they're not fixed. You got to stop with the fixed scarcity mindset, and you have to move into a mindset of abundance and growth and possibilities and opportunity. You have to be optimistic. You can't be cynical. You can't be pessimistic. You got to get away from negative people, even if they're family members. Limited association with people who are going to believe small, bring you down, talk you out of your goals, talk you out of your dreams. You can't associate with people like that. Find a mentor. Find someone who's living the life that you want to live. Find someone who has the lifestyle that you want, who maybe has time and money. See, 10 years ago, I didn't know anyone who had time and money. I knew people who had a lot of money, but they had no time. They worked all the time. Not present parents, not happy a lot of times. This was in my circle. And I also knew people that had a lot of time. They had time to do the things they wanted, but they had no money. They were broke. I, at the time, I didn't have any time or any money. I did not have time flexibility. I definitely didn't have financial flexibility. And I was introduced to a profession that allowed me to write my own paycheck if I was willing to become the person of value. See, Jim Rohn says you'll always be paid in direct proportion to the value that you're adding to the marketplace. And the Bible says service to many leads to greatness. So when I saw this model, this business model of network marketing, I understood that I could expand my territory. I could become someone of value who could serve the masses, scale a business to where I wasn't just earning linear income, meaning I wasn't just trading my time for dollars and 100% of my income wasn't based on 100% of my effort, but yet it gave me the ability to scale, leverage my time, and become a leader who could build a voluntary army, build an empire that could give me both time and money. And then when I started focusing on those possibilities and started learning from people who were doing this, who have gone before me, who have already walked through this minefield, and I just followed their footsteps, learned those principles, started reading the books that they read, listening to the audios that they listened to, not just thought about what they thought about, not just said what they said, but learned how to think like they think. My entire world changed like that. The day I took a look was July 20th. Yesterday was my 10-year anniversary. So it was July 20th, 2012 was when I took a look at this profession. June 5th of 2014, I walked away from my job, fired my boss, and I've been living free ever since. ever since. Now, did I go through some tough times? Yes, I mentioned earlier, but I was able to bounce back. I was able to bounce back because of the principles that I've learned, the philosophies that I've put in place, the experiences that I had, the goals that I was able to write down and accomplish at will because the desire was so strong. But more important than the desire, the expectations were that I know it's possible. And if it's possible, guys, it's possible for me. And if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. So take what I shared with you today. Quit wanting things. Quit needing things. Life doesn't respond to want or need. It responds to deserve. So become the person who deserves it. Become a person of value. Become someone that you are so proud of, that you can look in the mirror and be like, this is who I am. Step into that role, whatever that role, like you're being paid $10 million to become this person, because you can become anything that you want to be. It starts in your mind. It starts in your heart. It starts with the way you see yourself, the standards that you set. And step into that role. Start living like that person would live. Start walking like that person would walk. Start talking like that person would talk. Start thinking like that person would think. Find a mentor and take their advice. You have a lot of advisors in your life. It may be in the form of a spouse, best friend, coworker, teacher, professor, coach that you look up to, anybody. And they'll all tell you why what you're doing will or why it won't work. And they have your best interest at heart. They think they're giving you good advice because that's their perspective. That's how they perceive the world. And they're pushing that on you. And I'm telling you, if you're willing to accept their opinion about what it is you're doing, the life that you're living, you better be willing to accept that person's lifestyle as well. So unless you want to live like that quote unquote advisor is suggesting, you might not want to take their advice. Find a mentor who is living the way you want to live. Reach out to them. I get messages all the time. I love connecting with people and helping them, navigate this crazy world of economics, entrepreneurship, business, philosophy, personal development, and figuring out their unique path to get to where they want to be. I love having those conversations. And I'm only one person, so I can only have, so many conversations like that in a day. But that's what this podcast is going to be about. That's what this message is about. It's about living free and knowing that you can do it. If you change your inner world, your outer world will follow. You have to change the roots before you change the fruits. So get into a good book. Get on YouTube. Find, start just drowning yourself in personal development. Write down a detailed paragraph of what your ideal life looks like. Write down every excuse, every limiting belief, everything stopping you from living that life, and light that shit on fire. Burn that piece of paper. Tear it up into pieces and throw it in the garbage. Get you a 3x5 note card and write down in present tense everything that you desire in your life. And review it often. Read it in the morning. Read it before you go to bed at night. Put some Post-its on your mirror from when you're brushing your teeth. A dry erase marker works great on a mirror. I remember writing on a mirror with a dry erase marker back in 2012, 2013. I put, I'll do today what others won't so I can do tomorrow what others can't. So I challenge you, think differently than they think. Walk away from the 97%. Step into the 3%. Think differently. Act differently. And you'll live like no one else lives. Unless they start following these same principles unless they start waking up and realizing what they're capable of. But don't conform to the average. Don't conform to mediocre. Don't limit your beliefs based on what you see around you. You're God's highest form of creation. You can live free. I want it for you. I know it can happen. Please, if you got something out of this, share this with someone. Share the podcast, share the live, share the link, whatever way you're hearing my voice right now, share it with someone. If you got value out of it. If you didn't, then don't share it. But if you did, if you resonate with this message, I'm going to work hard to bring valuable content each and every episode that if someone listens, it can impact their life like my life was once impacted from listening to this similar message. Because I'm telling you guys, my life has been changed. And every day I wake up and I look out my window and I see the world and I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude at the life that I have today. I'm overwhelmed with, a sense of just, words can't even describe it, guys. When I put my kids to bed at night and I'm home and I'm able to spend time with them in the summer and not have to leave. I can be a present father. It's priceless. It's priceless to have the life that you want and to not have to sell your life by the hour to some man, some other human being who's degrading you and telling you what you're going to do for that hour because they own you. And I'm not knocking jobs, but it was such a change in my life to just be able to wake up every day when I'm tired of sleeping, not have to answer to another human being, to be with my kids when I wanted to be with my kids, to travel the world and experience the things I wanted to experience, to be able to provide for my family like I was never to be able to provide for them before. And it all started with just a simple change in philosophy. And I want to share that, guys, with you as often as possible. So please continue to tune in. Please let me know in the comments. Let me know your biggest takeaway. Let me know if you have any questions that you want me to maybe address. And be interactive with this because I'm here for you. I'm here standing on this mountaintop sharing this message because I know that it's real. It's something that I've experienced personally, and I just want others to live free too. It's my magnificent obsession. It's my definite purpose to help as many other people who want to live free because I didn't know I could until someone shared this philosophy with me. And I just want to return the favor. I want to pay it forward. So I'm asking you to do the same. Pay it forward. Share this. Share with someone else. You know what? Even better, go live your best life and inspire those around you to live theirs. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was episode 1 of the Live Free podcast, the foundation. I'm so excited for the future and continue this message and continue more episodes. And thank you for allowing me to serve. Thank you for allowing me to do this. And much love and respect. God bless. And let's go out and make it happen. Take care, everybody.